synchronicity, even in that moment.
I think that's sort of the death, in your death, that a synchronistic event occurs like that almost of necessity. If your birth into the universe isn't like the arrival of some alienated subject separate from the rest of the universe, then you would think that the birth and death of an organism is like those two moments are intimately related to some larger universal process, right?
Well, indeed, and I would go even farther as to use your language, but taking it further, I would say every moment is this realization of the universe's immediate necessity. And this isn't to say in the passive mode, oh, let everything be what it is. But this is to say that there is no remainder in the calculation of the universe. You know, if you remember middle school and doing fractions and things, and you do a division and oh, you have this and a remainder of whatever. Well, there is no remainder that's kind of on the side or in the waiting room of history.
Even though the mainstream physicalist conception for the universe is that the matter which exists is what was left over after the matter and antimatter canceled each other out. So in that sense, we are the remainder. That's what was which remains is what was created after the first explosion of matter and antimatter canceled itself out. But I'm not saying
this is no. I mean, this is to say, I think you misunderstand me. Even if the universe were destroyed, let us say, which is a funny, if I am not even wanting to entertain, but if we say that, then that happened because, not as a fluke, but because that's how it had to happen. So it's not like, oh yeah, we're the remainder of this that happened. No. You know, what's happening now is as much a part of the equation as what happened then, and thousands of years from now, who knows what physicists are going to be saying if they're alive, or any sort of life form, you know, in terms of these years living in this kind of time frame. And these are all facets or faces of the diamond jewel that is complete.
How much do we have to understand, Matt and Phil, that if there's going to be creation somewhere, anywhere, physical, metaphysical, I don't know, so idealistic, expression, if that's going to happen somewhere, do we need to, if we're going to understand and go with physics, does that mean destruction has to happen somewhere to counterbalance the action, the original action? I mean, does it need an opposing reaction, someone else to kind of, you know, this?
Well, I mean, I think that's why Phil got a little regretful when he said, if coming up with this thought experiment about the universe being destroyed, because any destructive act is also
a creative.
Yeah, of necessity. It's also creative. Just try to bring it back around to desire.
Yeah. You're
saying that there is really no desire, or you're most saying that desire as a lack isn't ontologically real.
Yeah.
But so then, if we think of the universe as only expanding, that seems to make desire infinitely real. Like that's what the universe is doing.
It comes back around to creation.
But right, but if it's also
what about that
imploding somehow, or you know, instead of a big bang, a big suck.
Yes.
Then there's that equal and opposite reaction
or pinch it to turn it
that
inside
cancels out, and it makes it equal. You know, the net desire, so that really it doesn't gain an ontological reality.
Right. I mean, there's no what could it be wanting. It is everything.
Right. Well, it's able to contort itself just enough to want itself. And that sort of...
Right, but that want is not...
The want itself.
That want is not something that it cannot help but be satisfied.
Right.
Because the want is in the moment, if you think about this, I don't even want to use the word want, but the love that arises out of the manifold of the universe folding on itself that creates this subject-object that is experience. That sort of love, if you want to call it a want, we could say it's love because the moment the want arises is because of the fold of the universe. And because of the fold of the universe, it instantly has its object of desire.
Right.
So the moment it wants it, it already has it. And because that's the case, this is love.
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I'm not sure if I follow completely, because the moment it wants it is when the universe curves.
And that's simultaneously the moment it has what it wants.
How do you come to that conclusion? I'm trying to...
It's like the agape is basically a self-contained love that lacks nothing. And so that's, you could say, the state before the creation of the universe.
Or the state of the creation of the universe.
Or the state of the creation.
This state now.
Yeah, but the loving of self, if you think of it as like a sphere, the loving of self eventually leads the sphere to sort of fold into itself, as you're saying. And then it's almost the desire for self creates other, but the other is still part of the same folded self-love. But it's almost a veiled self-love now, and it's as if an other is loved. It's kind of hard. I mean, you have to picture...
But because it creates exactly, and this is for me the beauty and where I want to link some of a more esoteric interpretation of Hegel with the end of Plato's Symposium, and say that love from Symposium is the desire, we could say, to be in the presence of beauty and truth and goodness.
Right.
But, and let us say, to be in the presence of something is to propose the situation of subject and object, which, if we think of Hegel, of spirit alienating from itself, becoming itself the subject, of itself the object. And it is in this moment, then, where we can have the capacity itself to desire to be in the presence of the good, the true, and the beautiful, which is nothing other than what is experience and what is ultimately itself. And so in that moment, to have the capacity to have the desire, you are in that moment in relationship to the desired, which is having it. Because there's nothing being withheld from you. The vision, the sound, the awareness you have. This isn't, the kind of having of private property or of an object that's mine inside of experience of qualia. This is qualia exists in experience, in consciousness. And the size of the photograph belongs to the aperture in the way that the size of the aperture is exactly the size of the image. And in that way, it belongs to, the painting belongs to the canvas. You have a bigger canvas, you can have a bigger painting, because the two make each other.
Mm-hmm.
And in that way, it's an unconditional love, because it can never not have itself. Nothing is being withheld. There's not secretly some devil that's hiding some of the present moment right now from us. Like, oh, we're only experiencing part of the present moment. Because there's this little insidious force that's actually taking a little bit of the present moment we could be having right now and kind of keeping it under its cloak, Mm-hmm. All of the moment is
just to play devil's advocate, so to speak. I think while there may not be an ontological reality to desire as lack or to evil, I think there's also the universe is playful, right? And so sometimes it plays tricks on itself, you could say, but the trick is still played, and in that way, lying and deceit and drama, Maya, as the Indians call it, is a part of the universe, right? So Maya is illusion, right? So it's not real. It doesn't have ontological reality foundation, but it still appears.
Right.
Qualitatively speaking, evil appears, and evil frightens, and evil.
Well, this is beautiful. Woo.
Can't be back.
Yeah. This is beautiful to me because Maya is real, but yet it's not. And it's not in the sense that you are really feeling something.
Yeah.
And if what you're feeling is, that there's something over there, well, the feeling is real, but the content of your feeling is not. Like, so if you think of this works very well with linguistics. The word everyone uses, for example, water.
Yeah.
Water is a real word. You can't drink the word water.
Mm-hmm.
But people mistake the content of the word water, what it signifies. It signifies this liquid. But they think almost ontologically in the word water is water.
Right.
And so then they think in their suffering, in their suffering that, or their neediness that says, I need this. The feeling is real, just like the word is real. But it doesn't, there is no this it actually needs. It is a feeling of need that is.
Is that confusing the map of the territory?
Yeah. Or the fallacy of misplaced concreteness.
Yes.
Taking an abstract idea for concrete
Yeah.
reality.